9:50 a.m., an email was sent throughout campus. It stated there was a gunman loose on campus and ordered teachers and students to stay inside their classrooms and away from the windows. The reason they were called to stay away from the windows is that the police shot the locking mechanism out of the campus machine shop entrance. Upon entering the building, the officers heard gunshots and immediately proceeded towards them. Knowing his time was probably up, Daniel shot himself in the head at 9:51 a.m., precisely as the police got to the second floor.
The nature of how they lost their life was just overwhelming. When we entered the stairwell, there was already blood running down the steps in a constant stream. When we came to the second floor landing and there were the two deceased people there, obviously, the blood or whatever was coming down the steps was from them. Coming down the hallway, it's just all strewn down the hallway. The floor was just painted red. And at that particular point, it's breathtaking.
Investigators later stated that it was believed that the shot police fired to break the lock they needed to enter the school was what tipped Daniel off that he had no way out, besides in matching bracelets, or the horrific manner in which he died. There were simply too many lives lost that day. From start to finish, the shooting lasted 11 minutes. 11 minutes. 660 seconds. Wrap your head around that. A brutal mass murder started and stopped in 660 seconds. Remember that your life truly can change in an instant. In those same 11 minutes, or 660 seconds, Daniel fired 174 rounds and killed a total of 32 people, which included his own death. 30 people were killed in the Norris Hall and 2 in the WAJ Hall. This included 5 professors, 9 graduate students, 4 seniors, 2 juniors, 3 sophomores, and 9 first-year students, and those whose lives will forever be mourned and missed. Police immediately jumped into a different type of action. This time they began the urgent yet arduous task of locating and assisting victims. Daniel was found at 10:08 a.m. There was no identification on his person, and he was located inside room 211, which was the French class. Near his body lay 2 firearms. At 10:17 a.m., another email was sent advising the shelter-in-place order, canceling classes for at least the remainder of the day. At 10:52 a.m., another email was issued, informing students and faculty that the student was in custody. Within less than 2 hours, at about 12:42 p.m., people began to be released from their respective buildings where the shootings occurred. However, outside there were counseling centers that had already been established, offering grief services to stunned, traumatized students, teachers, and any other person that had the misfortune to experience this horrific event. The first of the far too numerous shooting victims was transferred to the medical examiner's office at 5 p.m. The last victim's body was moved there at 8:45 p.m. Not even 12 hours after most of these people's days had begun, their lives ended. They had no idea that as they each prepared for their days, in their own individual ways, that they would never make it to dinner. They will never see another sunrise, sunset, or any other mundane thing that we all take for granted regularly. Both the shooting at the WAJ Hall and the shooting at the Norris Hall were linked through ballistics located on the scene. First responders and police later recounted hearing the sounds of cell phones ringing all over the classroom and hallways. Calls coming from worried family members, desperately hoping their loved one was anywhere but a body bag. An eyewitness, janitor Gene Cole, encountered Daniel in the hallway. However, Daniel was reloading at that exact moment and Gene ran for his life, fleeing down the nearby stairwell. Gene was employed with Virginia Tech University for 21 years, which is impressive. He started his workdays at 5 a.m. every day and ended his day at 1:30 p.m. We are so thankful that Gene was able to go home to his family that day.
That's how, and I said, he's going to kill me, he's after me. And I said, gotta get out of here. I'm scared to death. And when he heard me started shooting, and a girl got up and shut the door, and he started to turn around and shooting through the door. And that's when he jumped out of the classroom in the middle of the hallway and started shooting at me. And I ran down the stairs, got out of there and ran down the steps. I heard 5 shots when he let the gun off. I think it was a handgun, and it was automatic, and it was black. I was going pretty fast, trying to get down them back steps to get out of there. I just went over there and told them all of them they better watch. They're going to get shot. I said, somebody after me over in north. I just said the Lord saved me. He did. Hadn't been for him, I probably wouldn't even been here today.
As we detail some of the victims that lost their lives in this awful tragedy, it is essential to remember that when a shooting or other mass murder event happens, victims aren't limited to those who lost their lives. While it is crucial to mourn and honor those we've all lost, some victims were shot and injured, forever changed physically, mentally, and emotionally. There are secondary victims, such as witnesses to these dreadful incidents, the loved ones of the lost, first responders, and other students and faculty at the school. These victims suffer a trauma that can bring lifelong effects and changes to their lives. We will only be mentioning a few lines about each victim. This is not to minimize their life, their story, or their impact on this world, but rather due to time constraints and the sheer number of victims. For more in-depth information on the shooting victims, please see the show notes and our social media pages. Ras Abdallah Alameddin was a 20-year-old sophomore from Saugus, Massachusetts. Ras had just declared English as his major. 35-year-old James, a.k.a. Jamie Christopher Bishop, was a German teacher. He helped at the school, working with the Virginia Tech exchange program with a German university. Brian Roy Bloom was a graduate student in civil engineering. The 25-year-old student was a massive Detroit Tigers fan. Ryan Christopher Clark, a 22-year-old student from Martinez, Georgia, was studying for a triple degree in psychology, English, and biology. This brilliant young mind was a 4.0 student when he died. 18-year-old Austin Michelle Clark was an international studies major and an active member of the First United Methodist Church. Jocelyn Couture Noack was a French instructor who helped create the first French school in Truro, Nova Scotia. Daniel Alejandro Perez was a 21-year-old student from Peru who was working to obtain a humanitarian visa from the United States Consulate. Kevin P. Granada was a professor of engineering science and mechanics. Kevin served in the U.S. military before accepting a teaching job at Virginia Tech. 24-year-old Matthew Gregory Gwaltney was known to attend all Virginia Tech sporting events. He was nearly finished with his graduate degree when he was killed. Sophomore Caitlin Miller Hammerin was a 19-year-old student from Westtown, New York. Caitlin was majoring in international studies and French. Bellefonte, Pennsylvania native Jeremy Herbstritt was 27 years old, attending Virginia Tech as a civil engineering graduate student. 18-year-old Rachel Elizabeth Hill was a freshman at Virginia Tech who was studying biology. She was from Glen Allen, Virginia. Jarrett Lane was from Narrows, Virginia. He was attending Virginia Tech. At 22 years old, was a senior who was majoring in civil engineering. Jarrett was the class valedictorian when he graduated high school. Freshman Matthew Joseph Laporte was from Dumont, New Jersey. Matthew graduated from the Carson Long Military Institute in 2005. He was only 20 years old when he was taken from this world. 20-year-old Henry J. Lee was also a freshman at Virginia Tech when he was senselessly murdered. Henry was majoring in computer engineering and French. He was from Roanoke, Virginia. Professor Liviu Librescu was a Holocaust survivor from Israel. Dedicated to his career, he taught at the university for 20 years. 51-year-old Professor G.V. Longanathan was from Chennai, India. He taught civil and environmental engineering at Virginia Tech. Lauren Ashley McCain was a 20-year-old freshman majoring in international studies. She was originally from Oklahoma. 34-year-old graduate student Partahi Lambantoruan was from Indonesia. Partahi was majoring in civil engineering with the ultimate goal of becoming a teacher. Daniel O'Neill graduated from Lafayette College in Pennsylvania before heading to Virginia Tech, where at 22 years old he was a graduate student studying civil engineering. Like so many others, Juan Ramon Ortiz was in the civil engineering graduate program when he was killed. He was from Puerto Rico. Juan was teaching when he was killed for no reason or warning. He was only 26 years old. Graduate student Manal Panchal was in the building sciences program and wanted to be an architect. She was from India, and she was only 26 years old when she was brutally murdered. 18-year-old Aaron Peterson was a freshman from Chantilly, Virginia, who was majoring in international studies. Michael Stephen Pohl Jr. was from Flemington, New Jersey. Michael was a 23-year-old student who was expected to graduate in May with a degree in biological studies. Graduate student Julia Pride was a 23-year-old from Middleton, New Jersey. She was in the Biological Systems Engineering program. Mary Karen Reed was only 19 years old when she died. Mary hadn't even lived long enough to decide which major she wanted to declare yet. Her whole college career was still in front of her. Mary was born into a military family in South Korea, but traveled as the Air Force dictated. She lived in Texas and California before moving to Virginia. Rima Joseph Samaha graduated from Westfield High School and was only a mere 18 years old when he died. He was from Centerville, Virginia. 32-year-old Walid Mohammed Shalan was a doctoral student in civil engineering. Walid was from Egypt before coming to study at Virginia Tech, where he was attacked and murdered, so tragically and senselessly. Sophomore Leslie Geraldine Sherman was from Springfield, Virginia. She was studying history and international studies when she was killed. Blacksburg, Virginia boasts a population of about 42,000 people. Businessweek named the city among one of the best places in the U.S. to raise kids in 2011. Located within Montgomery County, the town was founded in 1798. The summers are quite humid with high temperatures, and the winters are typically cold. The area gets about 25 or so inches of snowfall each winter. Blacksburg High School is frequently ranked as one of the top schools for sports and academics. Virginia Tech University is the city's largest employer. Each summer, the town hosts a summer solstice fest, a time in which the communities can come together and celebrate the longest day of sunlight of the year. The city also holds an annual international street fair, which takes place downtown, with over 110 different countries represented. The Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University, also known as Virginia Tech, was established on June 20th, 1872. The university motto is the quote, "That I may serve," and their nickname is the Hokies. 280 various undergraduate and graduate degree programs are offered to the nearly 34,000 students that attend yearly. The school employs approximately 1,300 staff members. Some brilliant minds attend the university, as the average GPA of newly admitted students is a whopping 4.15. There are 5 honor degree options, with around 1,600 honors students. Participants in the honors programs are required to maintain a minimum 3.5 GPA to stay in the program. The university is sprawling and includes a total of 8 research institutes and 5 branch campuses. An estimated 9,300 Virginia Tech students live on campus across the 48 residential halls. There are 23 fraternities and 13 sororities, with about 5,500 students living the Greek life during their time at school. Virginia Tech offers students over 700 different student organizations, including a group that builds electric racing motorcycles, a student-ran ad agency, a student-ran fixed income portfolio group, a Young Life chapter, and the Chocolate Milk Group. Athletics are also an essential part of university life at Virginia Tech, with facilities such as Cassell Coliseum, Lane Stadium, Thompson Field, and English Field. There is also the Tech Softball Park that includes the Rector Fieldhouse, the Christiansburg Aquatic Center, and the Beamer Lawson Indoor Practice Facility.